Relax, the keyboard is off and the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink, a show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Join your host, Lance Green, the guardian of the blue paint turned writer, and co-host SteelFlyers, as we bring you all the latest on the Philadelphia Flyers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next edition of the Hockey Writers Ink with your host, Mr. Lance Green.
All right, guys, how are you? Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the Hockey Writers Ink, a Flyers-based podcast.
You betcha, you betcha. And how is Mr. Lance doing today?
I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All good. So I am your co-host, Ron, SteelFlyers, and we are here to talk exclusively about the Philadelphia Flyers, as this, the Hockey Writers Ink, is a Philadelphia Flyers-centric podcast. So, first of all, we would like to say huge thank yous to Spreaker for allowing us to be out there on all of the podcasting platforms. Appreciate all that. All you have to do is go to your favorite podcasting platform, type in the Hockey Writers Ink, and our name will come up. You hit the 5 stars and listen to us there, and you get to enjoy. Or you can go to SteelFlyers.com, check out the Hockey Writers Ink show on the SteelFlyers.com website. Or you can go to the YouTube page and check us out there, the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, where the Hockey Writers Ink is always at. And or you could go to a number of Facebook groups that Lance and I belong to, and you could check us out there too. So by all means, thank you all very much for doing that, and thank you all very much for tuning in. We got a good one lined up here for you because, you know, there's no off season for the Hockey Writers Ink. And I'm here to tell you, Lance, we got a few things to talk about today, don't we?
For sure. There's always things going on in the Flyers world, and even when the season is not ongoing, there's always things happening. Danny Briere is not going to take a day off, and we aren't either. So
exactly. And if the GM isn't taking a day off, that means we ain't taking a day off. And, you know, we've been with you guys now for the last few years, the last few seasons, and y'all know that we're pretty much straight on through. We don't take there's no off season for us too. So everything that we talk about the Flyers and what we're going to talk about today is going to be some really good stuff too. So I think you guys will be really interested. So we're going to dive right on in to episode number 168. That's right, folks, episode number 168. And we're going to go with, how about this? Prospects, potential, and the rumor mill for the Philadelphia Flyers. So here we go, folks, episode number 168. And the first thing I want to talk about, Lance, is prospects. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Flyers got some pretty good prospects out there, don't they?
They do. They got quite a few in the system that are still playing. And, 2 of those individuals play on the London Knights of the OHL, who just won that championship. So
congratulations.
Big props to them.
Yep.
One of them being the highly talented Oliver Bonk, a right-hand shooting defenseman that the Flyers took in the first round with a 22nd overall pick last season or last draft. Yep. And, he is growing by leaps and bounds, I think, making impressive, steps this season. And, this playoffs alone, he played in 18 games.
I was just going to say,
scored 7 goals, 9 assists for 16 points. So not too bad from a defenseman, almost a point per game player. And that's not even his forte. He's prototypical shutdown defenseman. Exactly. And, steps up when needed to, I would say, but, focused in his own zone as well. So promising prospect for sure there.
Yeah, definitely. The Oshawa Generals gave the London Knights all they could handle in the finals. And that was a great game. It was back and forth there for a little while. And then London just kind of I mean, it was an exciting series indeed. And London just kind of took over. You could see the talent just dripping from the London Knights, because not only is Oliver Bonk part of the London Knights, but there's also another particular prospect playing for the London Knights as well that the Philadelphia Flyers saw to draft last year as well, and that's Denver Barkey as well. And I'm going to tell you something. Both of these players played really, really well, especially in the final series against the Generals.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Denver is a smaller center, right? But he is a pest. He is a guy you got to watch when he's.
That's a great way to put it.
He's always zipping. He does not stop at all. And the Flyers took him in the third round last year, but he made a step out to me even in the Flyers camp. He was a late cut, and deservingly so, because this guy was just making some plays with some NHL talent on the ice, right? He was getting them the puck, and much of the same throughout the playoffs and the regular season for the Knights this year. But in the playoffs alone, he played 18 games, scored 6 goals, but had 21 assists, over a point or assist per game in the playoffs, and finished with 27 points in 18 games. So he was doing it offensively for the Knights. And, this guy is a force. He's going to make that play to his other players. And, with the Michkovs, with the Tyson Forresters, and the Owen Tippett's of the world, the Joel Farabees of the world that are still young, this young center is a prospect that you're going to want to see them play with in the near future for sure, because he has the talent to get them the puck. So, exciting playoff hockey for those two individuals for sure.
I mean, that's great experience for them. Do you know what I mean? Look, it's one thing when you win at the high school level and things of that nature, but when you get up into the junior levels and you start getting into some of these higher leagues and you start winning some championships like the London Knights just did, winning their championship, look, that is really good experience. That's a good check mark on your resume. Hey, yeah, we won the championship that year. You know what I mean? That's like, oh yeah, and that's something that a lot of people take notice to. And the Flyers picking Denver and Oliver, I think they're gonna pay dividends for the Flyers sooner rather than later. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Here's the thing that I'm really liking about what's going on here with our prospects. And this is something that we haven't really talked about really in our shows, because we haven't really dabbled much into some of the prospects that the Flyers have kind of in the system, which, we're going to try to do a little bit more of as well, too. We'd like to have a little bit more information on that. But it seems like the Flyers are doing it the right way, where the players that they draft, although they could potentially be impact players, are not being rushed. There's no pressure on these players that, oh my gosh, we need you tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like it seems like in the past, a lot of the previous administrations always were drafting for that. There was always that sense of urgency in the draft. We need the guys sooner. We know, blah, blah, blah. It seems maybe it was just me. Maybe it's my perception. I don't know. But it just seems like they're setting things up and doing things the right way here in Philadelphia. Excuse me. And giving these players the opportunity to develop, going through the lower end systems, getting that experience, going through that and having that kind of information and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think those good experiences are going to pay dividends for the Flyers with these draft picks, especially in this whole rebuild thing the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth in what you just said, Steel. The Flyers are going to be a good team. They are making the right selections now. They're not rushing their prospects. They are developing them and giving them time in the AHL, the ones that need that little extra time before they just jump up and turn, NHL everydayers. And it's showing. The farm system is growing in leaps and bounds with that, with the Phantoms making progress every year now, where they were, a kind of a joke for a while because the Flyers were just depending on the NCAA and some of the other big junior leagues in Canada to develop their players to the point that they're NHL ready, and not bringing them in, not teaching them the Flyer system, not allowing them to play with each other at the AHL level before and build that chemistry together before they try to make the jump to the NHL. And I think that is, kind of key to other teams' success. And now it seems as though the Flyers might follow more of that, other teams' blueprints and what they should have been doing all along. So I'm excited for that. And speaking of some prospects, an interesting one just came up kind of today, of all things, that Michkov guy is rumored, at least by one Russian news outlet, as saying that there's quite a good possibility that him and his team have kind of broken contract in the KHL and allowing him the ability to be able to come over next year and play in the NHL. Now, the Flyers haven't come out and said that to be 100% true. They want to, kind of check into that and not count all their ducks before they hatch here, or chickens, whatever you prefer. But, that is the rumor as of right now. And, of course, that would mean, great expectations for the Flyers next season and possibilities with him coming over in something where he was supposed to kind of be stuck on the back burner for at least another year or two, being that his contract in the KHL wasn't supposed to run out for a couple of seasons. So let
me give you a little update. Let me give you a little update on what I read about this specifically, because as Lance said, it did kind of break today, where there was a couple of articles that were released, and what I was reading was stating that they were willing to break the contract with Michkov so that he could come to Philadelphia for the next season, the 24-25 season, to be here in Philadelphia. But that after 2026, they would retain his KHL rights, so that if he ever wanted to come back and play in the KHL, he would have to go back to him, to that team, specifically St. Petersburg, I believe, was the team that he was with, he's breaking the deal with. Okay, so he would retain so they would retain the rights, and that would allow him to come then to Philadelphia. And from what I also read in this same article was that they were trying to, or that Philadelphia was trying to get confirmation and trying to get, all their, look, we've seen Danny Briere get all his ducks in a row before he pulls the trigger, including getting in contact with the NHL and the NHL's legal department to make sure that things are all done on the up and up. You know what I mean? So I really feel that you've heard and read, I've heard and read, it's basically been out there. If that's the case, if that is the case, Lance, do you realize how that changes the landscape in Philadelphia?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, it would be St. Petersburg, like you said. They actually loaned him this season to Sochi to play there. So, I mean, he did have a great season for Sochi. Played in 47 games, had 19 goals, 22 assists for 41 points. But if he ever decided to go back to Russia, it would have to be going back to play for St. Petersburg, which is a very good team, obviously. But they're going to retain his rights, but they're going to give him the option to go play in the NHL next season and, make all of Russia look good, much like Malkin and Ovechkin and everybody else along the way has done with their contracts in the past. So, of course, the Flyers would welcome a player of that caliber in with open arms a year or so early, and be happy to develop him with the talent that they have. Now, if that is the case, if he is going to come over, that would be amazing. But I'm gonna still hold my breath on that and just wait and see. I don't want to call that and go and get my Michkov jersey just yet.
Right.
And spend that kind of money that they're asking for those things now. But who knows?
But it is a promising outlook for a Russian player that we felt was going to be a long shot at best to be coming here to play in Philadelphia, just owing to the fact of where he was coming from, the contract that he had signed, and what he was obligated to with that contract, and the Flyers picking him so high in the first round of the draft last year kind of was like, okay, yeah, it's kind of a home run if he does get to come and play for you, but the chances of that happening are so slim and none. But here we are now, 1 year removed from the draft, and we're looking at potentially having him in for this upcoming season. So, hey, man, I can't wait to see if that's really going to be the case. So, I think that's some very exciting news. I think that would need to be, I'm sure that Flyers fans are going to be chomping at the bit to see this young Russian come in and play and do some of the things that we've seen him do already, playing for Sochi and everywhere else. And we would like to be seeing him doing that here for Philadelphia, or at least for Lehigh for a minute, right? At least, right? Okay. So with that being said, I think we also have to talk about some of the current Flyers that are now playing in the IIHF 2024 Worlds. And I got to tell you, folks, within the last couple of weeks now, we've watched the U18 championships come and go, and now we're watching the full-on Worlds, where we're watching a lot of the major teams play right now. And man, I'll tell you what, I have seen some very good performances from some individual players throughout. I've been watching a lot of the games, but we do want to talk about the United States team, because Joel Farabee is playing for the United States team. I believe he's on the second line, third line sometimes too. It's tough because they had some turnover where they had Ryan Leonard in for the first couple games, and then they took him out, put Will Smith in now for this last game that they played today against Kazakhstan. So, I mean, it's a rotating kind of thing, but he's been playing relatively well the time that he's been able to play with the United States team.
Yeah, not so many points, but he has looked well. He played in 6 games. He only has 1 assist, was a plus 2 on it. But, I mean, there's a lot of depth in this team, and a lot of good young depth that's coming out here to play. So for Team USA. So, man, it's interesting to see some of the lineup combinations with some of these younger guys getting together and playing with Farabee. But man, I would like to see him score a little bit more goals. It looks like a lot of the scoring is from the first line, and Boldy and Brady Tkachuk and Johnny Hockey and stuff like that. So a lot of that is where it's coming from for Team USA right now, but rightfully so, I guess. But another player that the Flyers have there as well is their amazing young goaltender in Sam Ersson. And he's had some players that he's had to go through and share some games with too. He's only played in 2 games through this, but has only let in 1 goal a game average, and has a save percentage of 926. So he's won both of those games that he's played in. But Philip Gustafsson from the Wild has been doing pretty darn well as well for Team Sweden. So he's had to share the net a little bit there because Gustafsson's doing his thing as well for Team Sweden. So kudos for them to want to play for their nations, and after a long grueling season with the Flyers there, they still have that desire to play. So it's like you said, watching the U18s and then now watching these guys, it's still good hockey, even that the Flyers are out of the the NHL playoffs. Obviously they didn't make it in, but to still see some good hockey and still see some Flyers playing in that. So
Exactly, and it's been really good. We've gotten lucky with some of the great coverage that's been provided by the NHL Network. So they've been able to produce a lot of the games. So that's been really cool to be able to watch some of that, because you don't just watch the United States team because you watch the Canada team, you watch the Finnish team, you watch the Austrian team, you watch Latvia, you watch Czechia. You know what I mean? You have to watch all these teams because they got some of them have drafted players and NHL talent on these guys, so you got to be checking them out too. So it's good to see Flyers players out there as well too, and an ex-Flyer player in Kevin Hayes, also out there on the United States team. So there you go. At least he's got a buddy. Joel does. Out there on the team. At least he knows Kevin Hayes. So, but it's good to see those guys out there still playing, still representing, wearing their colors for their nation, for Sam Ersson for Team Sweden, and then also Joel Farabee for Team United States. So I'll tell you what, Lance, we got one last one here that we need to talk about, and it's not necessarily the best news, but Alexi Kosolov is now potentially being rumored to be going back to Russia. And I got to be honest with you, okay? With him and the other goalie, Igor, that we drafted, and the 2 guys that are currently now sitting there, and Cal Peterson also on the roster, is it any wonder why he would want to go back?
No, I mean, I fully support his decision to go back if he wishes to do so. He was the Flyers 2021 third-round pick, and he's 22. He's a young kid. Played great in the KHL this season.
Yes, he did.
47 games played, so he's getting the ice time there, right? Yep. They're giving him the net. So he's gaining the experience. He had a 239 goals against average and a 907 save percentage over there. Played in most of the games. So man, I just think that it might be the right decision, because the crease is pretty loaded with guys at the AHL level, even if they don't bring back Felix Sandstrom, which I don't think they should.
Right.
It's still going to be kind of crowded there this season. Yeah. So why not go back to one of the best leagues in the world outside of North America and continue to gain, that and build upon that. He played with the Phantoms for 2 games after the KHL season was over and came over and did okay, not superlative, and by any means, but got some experience over here, got his feet wet, and if he goes over there and starts, like you said, the other goaltender that they drafted too, Igor, is bumping up. He played amazing, was kind of a name not many people thought of, and the Flyers, Danny Briere snatched him up, rightfully so, late in the draft last year, and he's going to be playing possibly in the KHL as well, and moved up to the KHL this season. upcoming season. So, develop. It's always great to have goaltending depth, and the Flyers, for the first time in a long time, look as though they have some depth that is going to be building, continue to build. So kudos to them, even if he does make that. I would like to see him, get some starts in camp with the Flyers before heading back, but the KHL does start their season much earlier than the NHL, so they would already be well into the season.
Yeah.
So probably smart to get back and start and and be with the team that he's actually going to play with all season rather than playing a couple of preseason games and then, shipping back, as their season's already 10, 15 games into the season.
Yeah, and that would be, okay, I'm with you on that. Okay. So that makes sense. But, I'm with you. He's going to play going back there. He's not really, what's he get? Where, even if we do get rid of Felix Sanchez, which I think we're going to, do you know what I mean? Where's he slot in? Will he slot into that? Could he? I don't know. It's one of those things. So if he's going to go back, then by all means, yes, let him go back and develop and get some more salt and get some more seasoning, and we'll come back around and we'll catch you back around. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I feel about that. And I think it was great to see him come here, but once the Ivan Fedotov thing broke and that whole situation changed everything, the landscape as well. You know what I mean? You kind of have to be able to go with the punches. So I think that's what the Flyers are doing here with this. And him going back is not necessarily a bad thing because, like Lance said, he'll get more games, he'll get more playing time than he would here in the States. So I'm all for that. So kudos to that. Well, I'll tell you what, Lance, we got some really, really, really good, deep information here on the show today, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as we said beforehand, there's no off day in Flyers world. So, we're going to keep bringing you this kind of information all summer long, leading up to the draft, leading up to free agency, and, see how it all plays out. We've already kind of laid all that out, what we think the team should do as far as my draft article that I produced weeks ago.
Yep.
And
the show we did, the draft show we did, and I'll tell you what,
the draft show we did.
Yeah, thank you all very much for the views.
Yeah, and the free agency, what I think they should do in free agency as well, and we talked about that. So, those are the big things that are going to happen this summer, but there's plenty of other stuff going on all summer long, and we'll bring that to you as well.
Exactly. We got players still playing in the Worlds right now with the United States team playing very well. And Sweden still in it as well with their group. So we'll keep you posted on how that's going. And if any other rumors come true, and if the Michkov thing does kind of come true, hey, fingers crossed. So, Mr. Lance, got anything in the ye olde pipeline there, sir?
Yeah, I am. Not necessarily for the Flyers. It is the off season, so I kind of, did a whole lot on them already. So I'm gonna take a look, and I'm as we were just jumping on, I was kind of starting a Eagles piece, as well as I got some notes and stats and everything for how well the Phillies are doing. I'm gonna try to do an article on that as well. So look for those soon.
Yeah, buddy. The editor's desk. Got to go check that out at the SteelFlyers.com, Lance's other page, where he gets to put out articles about said Eagles, said Phillies. So be sure to check out the editor's desk. Go to SteelFlyers.com/editor's desk, and you'll be able to see all of Lance's other articles about some of the Eagles going on and the Phillies going on. So be sure to check that out. Lance, where can we follow you, and where can we get all your stuff, my man?
Sure. You can always go to SteelFlyers.com and check out any of this show, all my articles, as well as Prospect Watch. That is doing great as well. So interesting things happening all the time in that world as well. You can go to X and find me at Lance.Green39, as well as, like Steel said earlier, those Flyers Facebook groups. We're all over them as well if you want to catch our stuff on there.
For sure, man. So big thank you to all of the Facebook groups. We really appreciate you guys giving us the platform to post the shows out, to post out the articles, and to post out your opinions. We love to hear what you guys think. We love the feedback that we get from you guys. So really appreciate all of the great Facebook groups out there where you can find the Hockey Writers Ink, where you can find all of Lance's articles, and you can find stuff there as well too on Facebook at SteelFlyers All Sports Network Facebook page. So I am Ron SteelFlyers. You can catch me on X at SteelFlyers52, and you can catch all the great stuff that's happening over at SteelFlyers.com, from Prospect Watch to Hockey Writers Ink to the SteelFlyers podcast. Thank you all for watching the Hockey Writers Ink. We'll catch you all on the next episode.